Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This is FPL deadline questions. We asked you to send in questions and we got so many. So we tried to narrow it down to the ones that really came up a lot. I'm joined as always by my co-host Yelena. Yelena, how's it going?
It's good, thank you. I am feeling nervous about this game week because last week was not very good. So I'm hoping we can give some good advice and also listen to our own advice maybe and help improve our teams.
Totally. That's what's the most important. So let's get right into it. So we got a couple of questions, and I will say Ross gave us a lot. FPL Raptor, obviously friend of the two of ours. So we're gonna start with his because I felt like his questions were so pointed and really encapsulated what a lot of us are thinking about. So the first one ranks the forwards: Watkins, Wissa, Jackson, Alvarez, and Joao Pedro. This like starting off with a banger, so difficult. What are your thoughts, Yelena?
So if minutes weren't an issue, I would say Pedro, Alvarez, Jackson, Wissa, Watkins. However, minutes have been an issue. We've got Pedro benched. So I think in terms of the upcoming fixtures, my preference will probably be Jackson, Wissa, Alvarez, Pedro, Watkins. But saying that, Watkins will probably come out with a hat-trick this game week. It's so hard to predict at the moment, but I think Jackson's got really good underlying numbers and the upcoming fixtures for Chelsea are too good to ignore. So Jackson would definitely be number one. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really difficult. So I'm just going to share my screen here so everybody can see the fixtures. Hopefully, yeah, you can see it. Hopefully it's clear-ish. So Chelsea obviously have that really beautiful run of fixtures, and of course coming off of a loss versus West Ham, but like we've been saying, Jackson has really good underlying numbers, and just from the eye test he looks really good. And they have really great fixtures. Aston Villa have a pretty difficult run of fixtures. Have Liverpool. I'm so sorry about the noise. They have Liverpool away, Palace at home, and then Chelsea away, Brighton at home. So that one, I think I agree with you that maybe I would put Watkins a little bit further down, and that's why I'm low-key thinking of selling him. And then I'm trying to see Brighton as well have pretty difficult fixtures. So I would tend to agree with your ranking. I might swap Watkins for Joao Pedro just because I don't think his minutes are as much of a risk, and he has gotten 2 assists so far this season. But that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And I think the two that stand out for me are Jackson and Alvarez, and Wissa is up there as well. But maybe I'm a little bit biased because I want to transfer an Emblem on my team, and I'm not going for the double Brentford just yet. Let's go to the next question. So Ross again, he's asked 3 questions. As Chelsea fans, who's the best third Chelsea asset alongside Chilwell and Jackson? What do you think, Yelena? I'm curious to see if we align on this one.
I feel like Ross knows this really well because I've been going on about Chilwell recently. You've been going on about Jackson. So instead of being like, who's the best Chelsea asset? I think he was like, we will make sure they don't talk about them again for the millionth time. So I texted you earlier today and I said, I've got a feeling that Sterling's going to be a really good asset, but I don't know if I'm getting carried away. But for the game against Luton, I think he'll be really strong to bring in. Luton concede most of their chances from the left, so it's a really good opportunity for Sterling. I think Gusto as well, I'm quite tempted by, and especially at his price point. But I think Sterling's probably the one that I'd go for, but I'm not as sure of him as I would be with Chilwell or Jackson. I think it's more of a punt, so don't follow that as advice. But I'm really excited. It felt really good watching him play on Sunday, so I'm hoping for big things from him. Who have you gone for?
I will say before the loss to West Ham, I was fully thinking about a Chelsea double up in defense, and I really wanted Reece James and Ben Chilwell, and then Reece James got injured, so I was thinking maybe Gusto and Ben Chilwell, but it just seems like Chelsea aren't keeping clean sheets. They do have really favorable run of fixtures, but it seems that Poch is tweaking the formation, tweaking like the tactics. So I think for me personally, I would stay maybe away from the defense because you already do have Chilwell, and I would go for somebody more attacking. So I think Sterling is a good pick. He's 7 million, so maybe a little bit pricier, but he looked fantastic versus West Ham, and he was really unlucky not to have like 2 assists in that game. And I think the other one is Enzo. He's on penalties. He's playing further up the pitch as well. Obviously missed a penalty versus West Ham. But he's 5 million. Like, he could be really, really cheap and start coming off as well. So I think it's just a matter of time before the Chelsea attack really start to like mesh and gel together. And it's a very young team. It's a new team as well. So I think I'm gonna personally stick with just 2 Chelsea assets instead of 3, despite the really good fixtures. And that kind of brings us to another question from Darren that says, my gut says Gusto, but I'm not sure about Chelsea's defense. Should I get him in or not? I would say follow your guts. Like, you have to follow your gut. I personally probably won't do it, but follow your gut. What do you think?
So I completely agree. And I think I'm the same as you, because there was talk about bringing in, oh my goodness, my mind's gone blank, Sanchez as a keeper. I have got that right, haven't I?
Yes.
So there was talk of that, and then also having Chilwell. But I haven't gone for Chilwell for the clean sheets. Obviously, if we get them, it's a bonus. But he is attacking. He's getting so far forward. He's a really decent asset. And I think in the first game week, obviously, we lost the clean sheet. But actually, it was the attacking returns that helped us out in the defence. And we're seeing that a lot more with defenders in every team across FPL at the moment. The thing with Gusto, where I think if you haven't got Chilwell, you could go for it. But he's only 4 million. So actually, if you bring him in, you're saving money in your team, and you could just bench him if he ends up being disappointing. And then when you're stuck, if you've got injuries in your defense, at least you can bring him on and just kind of hope for the best. Maybe they might keep a clean sheet because the fixtures are easier. So I wouldn't make him a priority transfer, but I do quite like him as a way to save money in the team and still have a good defender.
If you have, like, if you're happy with the rest of your team, maybe if you have Gabriel and you want to transfer him out, could make sense. Also, having in mind, Reece James, I think, is meant to be back after the international break.
But for how long?
But exactly. So that's the thing. Like, we don't know. We just don't know. Let's move on to Ross's last question. Ross, thank you so much for sending in so many good ones. Who would you prioritize selling from Bruno, Rashford, Saka, Martinelli? And this is so hard, and it's literally the dilemma I have because I have 3 of these 4 players. So this will be super helpful to me. What do you think, Yelena?
So if you already have an Arsenal attacker, I'd sell Martinelli. I think that's probably my first choice. And again, we spoke about it in our previous video. Odegaard and Saka look to be sharing penalties if Odegaard hasn't taken over. In that case, I think Martinelli's pretty redundant now. I think he's also going to become a rotation risk. I think Trossard's going to get more minutes. So I think Martinelli. And then from a biased one, because I haven't really been on board with it since the start, I'd say Bruno's a very close second. I was never fully convinced on him. And United are creating a lot of chances, but their goal conversion is absolutely terrible. So as much as Bruno looks good on stats and he's underperforming, I think we're getting to the point now where it's probably time to just call it a day and maybe transfer someone else in.
Yeah, I think I would agree that Martinelli for me is that top spot. And I think Martinelli is like top going to be sold. Saka's probably the bottom for me. And then I don't own Bruno, but I think it really depends how we see them get on as well, with Mason Mount being out, if we see him playing further up the pitch, if Rashford, I think I mentioned this in our previous video, so go watch it if you haven't. If Rashford still plays through the middle, I'm going to be transferring him out of my team as well because he's 9 million. I'd rather just downgrade to like Matoma or March at like 6.5, 6.6 and have all of that money in the bank to play with. But they have really similar underlying stats actually, so they're a bit interchangeable as well. United don't have, I think, the best of fixtures, but they don't have the worst of fixtures either. So they play Forest at home this week, then Arsenal away, Brighton at home, Burnley away, Crystal Palace at home. So I think if I I'm going to be holding for this next week, and then make a decision maybe come game week 4, because maybe you don't want them for that run of 2 games. But they had a poor start to the season last year. They turned it around, so I'm interested to see how they get on, but let's see.
I hope it happens for us with Rashford. We deserve it.
I hope that something happens, like, so that I get some points on the board. So our next question was from Sasha, and he says, best value for money players so far. This is a tough
There
one.
are so many to pick from. I mean, it has to be a £6.5 million defender, doesn't it? Who have all now risen in price because they're so good. I think luck is on the side of this one as well, but I'd say Mbomo, and I know that he has had 2 weeks in a row and he's gotten a penalty, which is just so annoying for Eze owners like us. It feels like real salt in the wound. But Brentford's attacking stats are so impressive. Only Brighton's are better. So I think Mbomo, Matoma, that kind of, it would be any Brighton or Brentford midfielder, I think. They've just completely outperformed. And I'm annoyed that I didn't stack up my whole team with them because I could have saved so much money.
Same. I was literally contemplating a March Matoma double up. And the only thing that's really holding me back is that they have pretty terrible fixtures coming up. They, after game week 3, where they play West Ham at home, they have Newcastle at home, United away, Bournemouth at home, Villa away, Liverpool at home, Man City away. So it's a really, really, really difficult run of fixtures. But I think I want to see maybe over the next week or 2 if they're fixture proof, and if they are, definitely I'm going to be considering bringing one of Matoma or March into my team as well, probably for Rashford.
This is the thing, though, because Brighton on paper, they've got an XG of 6.89. They've scored 8 goals in the opening 2 game weeks. It's incredible. And then you go, oh, but they're against Luton and Wolves. So it kind of starts to make sense. So the real test will be the next couple of game weeks. If Matoma is still scoring in every single match, I will definitely be bringing him in. You'd be like a fool not to. But actually, I don't know. It's hard. But then I think for the mentality of the team to have such a strong start, be top of the table, that could help them through. Whereas you get United that have had a really poor start to the season, it's just going to reduce morale. So it'll be really interesting to see how it pans out.
Totally. And let's see. I just hope I can get on the bandwagon fast enough. And we have this question from FPL Perspective. Thoughts on Richarlison going forward? And this is an interesting one because he's currently 7 million midfielder. I think he's going. I haven't seen Spurs linked with anybody kind of as a Kane replacement. I think they were linked with Doku, but I'm pretty sure he's going to City. So I don't know. What do you think about this one?
This is a tough one because similar to Fernandes, he hasn't really caught my eye at all. So I haven't paid that much attention to him. I think if you have him already, I'd stick with him, see how he does. Spurs' fixtures are looking quite good over the next coming game weeks. It's very tough to predict how the team's going to look without Maddison because we saw him. He was going to be the FPL asset that we all needed. Everything was going through him. He looked like a really, really strong player and he was bringing all the team together. But I don't know whether this could actually be the time for Richarlison to kind of step up and maybe take on that role and be involved in everything. In which case, if you already have him as an asset, you are way ahead. He's going to rise in price. But then equally, if he doesn't perform very well, you could maybe give it another game week or 2 and then transfer him out for someone else, go cheaper and maybe bring in the Brighton or Brentford midfielder. But it's a tough one. I wouldn't transfer him out until we know what role he's going to take in the team. But yeah, I'd probably hold for now, but I wouldn't make him a priority to bring in.
Yeah, I would agree. And they have really good fixtures coming up. Like you said, Bournemouth away, Burnley away, and then Sheffield at home. And then they do have Arsenal away, Liverpool at home, but then Luton away, Fulham at home. So apart from 2 fixtures over the next 6 or so game weeks, they're looking really good. So you could be ahead of the curve on this one. I would maybe wait another 2 game weeks or so, and then if you want, it's really easy to downgrade him because there's so many good 6.5 million price midfielders as well. So I hope that it works out for you. So that's it. Those are our questions. Nice and fast and easy. If you want your question featured, make sure to respond to my prompts on Twitter and on YouTube as well. I'll post it there every week. And I hope that this video was helpful for you and that you enjoy watching it as well. Yelena, as always, let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at YelenaFPL, and I've actually just uploaded the first video on my channel with Ellie in, which is very exciting. You go head to head with Az in an FPL battle, so do check that out to see what Ellie would do if she was in control of my team.
I'm very excited about this one. So guys, make sure to sub to Yelena and to my channel as well while you're at it. If you like this video, if you like the content, really appreciate it. And it helps people to find our page. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time you're watching this. And until next time, we're out. Bye.
Bye.